So I'm here to say why my advocate's claim is not going to take place. So his claim was that battery cell vehicles will completely replace combustion engine vehicles in the automotive industry in the next 25 years. His claims were, one, that many nations, including our own, have shown full support in replacing combustion engine vehicles with electric vehicles. Companies and public agencies are already replacing their fleet vehicles with battery cell vehicles because they are cheaper on a per mile basis and lower carbon emissions. Number 3, battery cell vehicles are becoming more affordable. 4, electric vehicles have proven to compete with combustion vehicles in performance. And lastly, the main argument against electric vehicles taking over are that they do not have enough range to replace combustion engines and recharge times are inconvenient. So despite evidence that favors battery cell vehicles and their rising demand, they will not completely replace combustion engine vehicles. With his first claim, the advocate said that several countries, including Britain, France, and India, have said they want to end sales of gasoline and diesel cars and light trucks in less than 25 years. That's true. They did set deadlines where no more combustion vehicles will be sold by the year 2040 or 2030. However, this article was basically an interview. It did not provide any viable good information. The article proceeds to say that electric motorcycles accounted for 1% of cars sold in the United States, and only a bit of 1% of those roads were worldwide. So sales for electric vehicles are not significant. Additionally, I do want to add that he starts by saying that several countries, France, Britain, and India, and then his information is USA based. So we really don't know if he's talking about a worldwide phenomenon or a local US change. So I went based on supposing that the US would change from electric vehicles to combustion engines. And I just pulled information from Mazda where they are still looking to continue working with combustion vehicles. The Mazda Motor Corporation's from New Sustainable Zoom 2030 technology development strategy includes its petrol compression ignition engine, which it will call Skyactivity X and launch in 2019. Mazda does have intentions to create electric vehicles, but that is only for the countries that will ban combustion vehicles only. Furthermore, in the U.S., he said that in the U.S. there are both better incentives for owning electric vehicles, which come in form of tax credits. Yes, the U.S. does have incentives and California does have incentives, but that does not that has not been sufficient for a change or for a massive increased sales. One of the articles that he used also states that less than 1% of total vehicle sales in the U.S. during the first 4 months of the year, which was in 2013, were sold. That means there has not been a significant change in the last 5 years. His second claim was that companies and public agencies are already replacing their fleet vehicles with battery cell vehicles because they are cheaper on a per mile basis and lower carbon emissions. For this, he didn't provide evidence of how electric vehicles were cheaper on a per mile basis. His supportive claim for that was that the USPS has over 32 electric vehicles in their fleet in New York City and Long Island alone. He did not mention that that was in 2001. And that was in 2001 where they had 30 electric 2-ton vehicles. And just recently, they added 2-ton vehicles. So in 17-year period, they only added 2 more vehicles. His third thing was that battery vehicles are becoming more affordable. There is no dispute about that because they are. And lastly, he said that electric vehicles have proven to compete with combustion vehicles in performance. This only compares Tesla and Challenger. It does not compare other automotive industry companies. So his evidence was not a wide range of evidence for him to say that that electric vehicles will take over the automotive industry. Neither globally nor like worldwide or in the country. Lastly, I do want to end by saying that the Department of Energy is still looking to work with combustion engines. It says, improving the efficiency of internal combustion engines is one of the most promising and cost-effective near to mid-term approaches to increasing highway vehicles' fuel economy. Therefore, the Department of Energy is still looking to keep combustion vehicles in the market. Thank you.
Right, well, it was a little confusing at the beginning when you were previewing. I thought that there wasn't really a label what the second point was that the advocate was talking about, and then there was like an additional point that seemed like it was completely different than what was being presented originally. So you need to be a little bit more direct in what you're talking about here. Some of that I think is hesitation. Some of it is that you're conflating a couple of issues and turning what were multiple claims into a singular claim, or breaking up some claims into multiple claims, and so it ended up being less clear organizationally than I would hope. I do think you have a good general response suggesting that it's unlikely that we're going to get complete replacement in that amount of time. Your general challenge to the other countries, I think, is okay. I think you had a good piece of information here. By the way, you want to give us a citation on that says that less than 1% of car sales in the United States are these kinds of vehicles, and less than 1% worldwide are these kinds of vehicles. Well, if that was the rate, and by the way, that's not an annual rate. That's at this point, I don't know how many years it took for us to get to that particular rate. If that's the current sales rate, then it would probably take 100 years to sell only electric vehicles. But how long does that mean that you got to still live with the other kinds of vehicles? This projection of 25 years is based on something that's pretty rosy, and I think that you need to sort of analyze the assumptions that the argument's making here. This is a good start on that argument, but there's a lot that's sitting right there that you're missing an opportunity to develop on as well. The notion that people replace their vehicles every 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years, I think is a little bit, that's a presupposition of the advocate's argument that all the internal combustion engines will disappear because they're going to be replaced, all that'll be available electric cars, and that people will be driving those sorts of things. There's still people who are driving 50-year-old cars out there on the road. I see them every day. So the notion that we're going to get rid of all these cars in 25 years seems to me to be a little bit grandiose. I like the later on when you got the example about the post office cars, and you've got a piece of information that suggests that these fleet vehicle changeovers have not been all that substantial. In a 17-year period, we've only increased the kinds of vehicles that they're using for this one fleet to one other kind of vehicle, and we don't even have a percentage as to what percentage of the vehicles the U.S. Postal Service uses that are electric. I thought that was a good challenge on that particular point. There was one point where you made an argument that said something about less than 4%, and then in 5 years, I had no idea what you were talking about there, so that was just confusing. It needs to be explained more clearly. I'm not saying that there isn't an argument there. I'm just saying I couldn't understand what the point was that you were trying to make. All right, I got to stop there because we've got other